noticed that people finish their masters and PhDs and they do the coursework, but they're unable to graduate. And the time between graduation, when you start school and you graduate, it takes a lot of time. What is the reason? What's happening that makes achieving this objective a little bit difficult? And what compels students to abandon their path of a master's? They're trying to see what are some of the underlying factors, and is burnout part of the reason why people do not graduate as faster as they're supposed to? One thing people confuse is between psychological challenges and intellectual ability. There is a difference. People think if you have a psychological challenge, your intellectual ability is low, but no. Sometimes even the best of the people, of people with intellectual abilities will experience psychological challenges, and psychological challenges are affects emotions, moods, and perceptions. And it can be suffered by any person. It does not matter your intellectual level. So let's look at some of the dimensions of burnout. Some of the dimensions of burnout, according to Maslash, is composed of 3 dimensions. The first one is exhaustion. Exhaustion is the feeling of stress, especially chronic fatigue resulting from excessive demands. In this case, the research demands. And the second one is cynicism or depersonalization, is your doubt about your ability to perform or complete the research. Eventually, you become very detached with your research. You don't want anything to do about the research. And the third one is lack of professional efficacy. You have reduced efficiency. You're having a hard time attaining this goal of finishing your research. Think about it, especially when my experience has been the first time I was defending my MBA and I was told to redo it. My energy levels were still high. I did it. The second time I was going to my supervisor, she said, you need to change the topic. And that was it for me. I was exhausted. I detached. I took so many months for me to go back and rethink the topic, because if you ask to change the topic, that means you're almost redoing most of the work. And so I don't know what you experience as well, and I would love you to share when you're finishing the presentation. But remember that time you felt you don't even want to see this research. You just felt completely exhausted from the research. That was burnout. Now, there are different kinds of feelings that you have to go, and signs of burnout. Some of them I've listed are mostly mental and emotional. But then there is the physical aspect that comes after you've pushed your boundaries in the mental and emotional aspect. Ultimately, your body will become affected. So some of these things you will realize is the loss of motivation. You don't want to do the research. You're not motivated to even finish if it's your chapter 1, chapter 2, or go to the data and take that, go to the field and take that data. The second one is you have difficulty concentrating on the research. And if you had agreed with your supervisor, this is the deadline, and you go see them, you will start missing the deadlines. And they do not come at once. So you have to see 1 or 2 signs for you to connect the dots and realize things are not working when you're doing the research. And sometimes you might isolate yourself from others and you start experiencing loneliness, especially now if you have gone through some of these stages. You will have difficulty sleeping. You might even change your eating patterns or increase your substance use to make you feel better. Then you'll start experiencing hopelessness. or helplessness and irritability. You'll become very irritable with those near you. If it's your kid or if your colleagues or if you're married, you realize you're starting to have your temper really close, that someone just steps on it and you're on their back. And you start becoming more and more negative about the research. Those are the aspects of mental and emotional. So when you push your boundaries so much, it gets to the physical part where you start feeling your muscle weaknesses. Sometimes you might feel fever, and then you start going to the hospital and you're wondering what's happening. But then it's just fatigue. So if you realize these symptoms and you realize you're starting to have difficulty in your research, you need to look at them before you get to the physical stage. And so this is burnout in a nutshell. Burnout can happen even if you're not doing research. It can happen in many areas. But today we're going to focus on research. But generally, even if you're working and you feel burnout, or during this time, we are at home now, but people in the health sector are the ones who now might experience this kind of burnout. You will have an overload. If it's your work, it has piled and piled and piled, and there's a lot of it to do. This work will start irritating you. You really get irritated. You cannot control these small emotions that you normally would control on a normal day well. And then you start becoming anxious, very anxious. Maybe you needed to graduate in December, you're now in June, you don't even know what to do, you've not defended your work. So anxiety comes in, and then fatigue comes in. Fatigue is just tired. Your body is almost, it doesn't want to move. You're tired, your whole body is tired. Not just the mind, but now the physical is tired. And then now you become exhausted. Now that's when you get a total burnout. Sometimes you'll have people being admitted in hospital and being given some drugs, but it's burnout. What are some of the factors that lead people to get burnout? We have intrinsic factors and extrinsic factors. Internal factors, we have internal factors and external factors. Internal factors, we look at lack of motivation. Why are you doing your PhD? Why are you doing your master's? What motivated you to go to school? And is the need being met at that time, that it is enough to support you during that difficult period of doing your research? And what were your expectations when you joined your master's or your PhD? Did you not foresee the stress or the time it will take? Or did you think it was going to be a little bit more easier, that your expectations have not been met? And are you having a work-life balance? There was a discussion on most graduate students focus too much on the research at the expense sometimes of the family. Are you able to balance that? You're not just writing, that you can be able to handle your family well and be there for them emotionally and mentally and financially, and also be at work and engage, but still do your work? Are you able to balance as you're doing your research? Another factor is imposter syndrome. The lack of feeling like is the feeling that you're a fraud. Even if you're successful, you feel like your success is just out of sheer luck. You do not believe it was your hard work and your doing. You almost feel like people will figure out that you're a fraud. It's not real, it's psychological, but it happens. And if that happens, then it can derail your project and research. And another one is poor time management. How do you manage your time when you're doing your projects? Do you set an hour every day to work on your project, or 30 minutes, or every weekend you have what in Journal Club we call a write and shut up and write session? And if it's there, do you follow it? Or do you just start going on the internet and before you know it, you're in Twitter, you're in social media, you're following the news, especially right now? Most of us have some free time. Are we using this time to divide between watching what's happening and doing our research, or are we just consumed into watching the news? So this is something that most people will struggle with, honestly. And that's an internal factor because it needs to come from you to manage your time. External factors. Honestly, navigating complex relationship with supervisors is one that you have almost no control of sometimes. Sometimes you'll find your supervisor is in a different county and you have to go all the way to that county. You will find sometimes he's not working. And this can cause you to lose a lot of interest in your research and end up having burnout. And the realities on the job market. As we said before, what were your expectations? Were you doing your master's or your PhD with expectations that once you announce at your place of work, then you're going to get your promotion? And if it happens, you don't. Are you able to navigate that? That factor ties around with the next one, that is uncertainty about the future. Sometimes you might be asking yourself, why am I working so hard for this master's? And then boom, you get notice, like I saw on the newspaper, if you're working for the public service and you have a master's, then it means you'll not be promoted. And your basic motivation for doing that was a promotion. See, that can easily lead to burnout, exhaustion, and fatigue because you're doing it and you don't know why you're doing it. And we know it's not financially easy to go through a master's and especially a PhD. It needs a lot of money. Most people will have families at the same time as they're doing their studies. So that's another factor. As you're trying to work, you're trying to pay for your school fees, your kids' school fees, you're supporting your family, maybe your extended family. So that's another factor that can lead you to burnout. And there is an overlap between depression and burnout. Most times when you have burnout and you do not manage it, remember it's your physical, your mental, and your emotional aspects that have been affected. If you push it too much and you don't get out of depression and out of burnout and stay in it for a long time, then research shows there's an overlap. You're likely to get into depression. So it's very, very important to manage the burnout before it goes to depression. So how do we avoid burnout when you're doing research? Mentorship. My experience with mentorship has not been easy. I would love to hear your experiences, but for me, it's not been easy because it takes time for you to get a mentor. I don't know if I'm the one who didn't know where to find them, but that has been my experience. I would love you guys to share your experiences. But mentorship would help a person to move through their research easily if you have someone to mentor you and guide you. Ideally, it's supposed to be your supervisor, but for some people, it's quite difficult to say that's mentorship. But if for you it works, kudos. If not, you can try and see how you can find other forums like Journal that can pair people and have mentorship. And you have a support club that if you have something that is bothering you, you have people you can ask these questions. And you can get help from people who are going through the same season of research. And we have to avoid procrastination. Procrastination is a thief of time. You see, procrastination goes hand in hand with burnout and anxiousness, because you procrastinate, you say, okay, I'll do my research, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next week, part one, I'll do it, and then you're supposed to defend in a week's time, and you're hurrying up to do your bits, and you're trying to combine the last pieces, and your anxiety shoots up. That is why you need to manage procrastination so that you're not in a hurry and you don't get anxious. You need to engage in some of your favorite hobbies beyond your study, especially for people doing PhD. I know sometimes it can be a little bit too much. So you need to engage in other hobbies, even if it means family time, if that's your hobby, or you do some sports, or whatever you enjoy, but you need to engage in a hobby when you're doing your research. And we cannot forget exercise. It's good for emotional health, and also it boosts our emotions. Remember to eat a balanced diet and good sleep. Sleep will go hand in hand with depression, so it's good to manage sleep at the same time. And I've noticed Kenyans love using humor to manage difficult situations. Please engage in some humor. So if you have burnout from doing your research, how do you recover? You need to reach out and ask for help. If it's the research and you're totally stuck and maybe it's not working out with your supervisor, please find people, like I said, mentorship or support clubs. Reach out, don't suffer alone. Reach out and ask for help. And sometimes, no matter how much you want to graduate, you need to take some time off. When it's too much and you have to make a choice between your health and graduating, please choose your health. Take some time off. People take different times off. For me, it was almost 6 months. I wouldn't write. Some people take 2 weeks, 30 months, 30 minutes. It depends on someone. But listen to your body, know when you need a break and how long you need. And like I said, it's good to engage in hobbies. And please spend time with loved ones and the people that you care about to nourish yourself emotionally. And like I said before, recovery needs you to exercise if you can, even if it's just a walk, it's just a jog, and eat right. And finally, please seek some professional help. If you're feeling you're getting into depression, seek some professional help from psychologists. And so to prevent burnout, the 3-point summary, I want you to remember these 3 things. You need to recognize burnout. From the symptoms we've been talking about, know that you're exhausted, you're feeling you don't want to sleep, you're feeling tired. You need to recognize the signs of burnout so that you can prevent it. Once you recognize, it's easier to prevent it, I said you need to see 2 or 3 signs, and then you'll know where I'm going is not good. That will help you prevent burnout. And if you're unable to prevent burnout and you're in a state of total burnout, you need to see a psychologist if symptoms persist, or a doctor. If you have any query, you can email me. That's my email. And now we are taking the Q&A section and sharing of experiences.
Kwani wewe ni mlafi?
Niko poa. Salama kabisa.
Hiyo ni kama corona.
Unaona kuja uone jimu.
I think there's a lot of much noise.
Yeah.
Maybe someone who want to ask a question can raise up their hand through the chat box.
I'll share an experience. It's supposed to be a 30 minutes affair, so please share your experiences. We still have another 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Joyce. You can hear Joy. You can hear me, Joy?
Yes, I can. Yes.
So my name is Aurelia. Thank you for your presentation.
Yes.
I've
Yes.
also realized that researchers who work as consultants also tend to have quite a bit of burnout, especially if they're balancing consultancy and they're still students. So I don't know what you'd tell us about if you're managing research projects that have very strict deadlines and yet you're a student. How do you go about managing that to avoid burnout?
I'll still go back to the points that I had said earlier. You need to have a support system, because that's your job, and it entails a lot of you giving yourself out, because writing is very personal, right? I would advise people to have a lot of a wide support system and good time management skills, so that you have your time allocated in order. You don't, sometimes the deadlines will demand that you have to give out your time 10 or 20, I mean 10 or 5 days, it depends, but can you try to manage your time such that you're able to accommodate even your family and the people around you? That's what I would say, a support system and time management.
Thank you.
I think sometimes, hello?
Ideas are also welcome, yes?
I think sometimes we think that when you have time, a lot of time on your hands, like if you're not working, then you will focus on your research. But I think that's a myth that needs to be debunked, because when you have a lot of time on your hands, you end up doing very little or nothing. So the fact that somebody is working or they're doing some other research work as consultants, then when they put 30 minutes aside to focus on their master's or their PhD research, they will commit to that 30 minutes and do something that is bigger than what somebody who has had 24 hours of free time would have done. So sometimes we maybe compare ourselves with somebody who appears to be free or to have free time, but the little time that you put in, even if it's 10 minutes in a day, and you just put a comma or a full stop in your document, then that's progress. So I think we need to be more forgiving of ourselves and appreciate every second or minute that you put in your research.
Hello,
Hello.
Joy.
Yes.
Allow me to contribute on that matter concerning how to get a balance on everything. I think it's a question that Aurelia asked. My take is that we have to portion our lives accordingly, because if you do not portion your what it is that you plan to do, you end up doing very little of it. So everything seems jumbled up and deadlines don't get met. So you have to like set time aside, like the previous easy pass, for if it is research, if it is your work, but not to mix up everything. If we do that, then it builds anxiety inside of us. And then no matter how good a support system we have, we'll end up feeling like we are not achieving much. And in that perspective, then we are likely to get burnout.
Yeah, true. The most important thing, I think everybody should have a time frame that they have put aside for research. Let's be honest, research is not easy. You might say you want to do your research, but starting even on it is difficult. Having a specific time management skills, like I'm saying, like you say, every hour you dedicate, even just 30 minutes to your research will go a long way than saying I'll do it for 2 or 3 days, then I'll be done. Can we try to have time management skill on our research and put it in our diaries?
And
This
schedule.
time to this time is my research only.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Yes, Dr. Kinyi.
Yes, I think your presentation is good, and I would just like to add that it's all about one's schedule. You talked about motivation, what motivates you. What you love is what you do. So if you are really motivated, if you have internal motivation, then you're most likely going to push, push, and push. And like you have said, it is good to have a schedule and follow that schedule diligently and with a lot of discipline. Our lives are really packed. We have so much that calls for our attention. You are working, you are a relative, you are a neighbor, all these things. So if you don't schedule, you'll just find that people are moving and you're left. So I really appreciate your presentation was good.
Thank you.
Also, I would like to chip in on scheduling. Joy, can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Hello?
yes.
Yeah, I would like to chip in on scheduling. You might schedule to do your PhD research at a certain time, and when that time arrives, you find that you're a bit tired. So you might beat yourself up because of that. Because there's no every day is different. Every PhD day or research day or master's day is just different. You can plan, but life just happens. So maybe that's where mentors would come in to like help you be forgiving yourself when you feel like your body has refused and your mind, because research is not something that should be done because you're hungry. It's not like eating immediately you'll have that you eat, and your mind needs to be left fully committed.
Honestly, this is a journey that you don't want to walk alone most of the time. If you can get mentorship, then it becomes an easier journey. Try as much to see where you can get your mentorship. For sure, it's not a journey you want to say, I can do this on my own, I'm going to walk alone. This will help. Sometimes you don't, like you're saying, you don't want to do it, you don't feel like doing. At least your mentor is able to tell you, give you the extra push and make you realize, okay, at this time you're taking too much time. And like you said, sometimes you need to be forgiving ourselves. You had a deadline, by December I'll be done, and you're not. Forgive yourself and try now to meet the next deadline, but then don't now start procrastinating again. Well, I see someone has written, I may have missed this. How do you distinguish depression from burnout, or rather determine that one is getting into depression? Depression is you have totally exhausted your mental abilities. Now you're shutting off. You're in hopeless despair. There is a lot of hopelessness. Burnout, you still have a window of thinking, I'm getting tired, I'm hopeless, but depression is now you're too much into burnout. The result is depression. Any other question or sharing of an experience? And another point Dr. Akinyi said was doing a project that you like. Please, when you're choosing your topics and your projects, choose something that you enjoy doing. If you choose a project because you just want to graduate, like I said, what are your reasons? What is your motivation for doing your project? Then it also becomes a little bit difficult for you to finish. If you can look for an area that you enjoy reading about, that you enjoy talking about, it becomes easier for you to finish your project. Any other question? Experience sharing?
Hi, Jay. Someone is asking on the chat, how do I recognize I'm heading to depression?
Depression is, like I've said, depersonalization becomes more. You become detached with your environment, with those around you. You also get very hopeless. The future becomes very, very, very bleak. There is no hope for the future. It's almost like you feel you've lost it all. For example, say you've gotten it around the area of, say, it was because of you had a specific time of graduating. You said December, I want to graduate. It happens that you don't meet the deadline. And you try to exert yourself to meet that deadline, that you get burnout because you're trying to write it. Say maybe you procrastinated or stuff happened and you're not able to. So by October, you're trying to catch up. You have all that I've said. You have overload, you have fatigue, you become anxious. So what happens is you exert yourself mentally, that you become, now you mentally exhaust yourself, that you think there is no hope. I'm giving an example, so that you think there is no hope anymore of finishing, and so life is not worth it. The level of hopelessness and bleakness of the future, the degree is too high. And then you detach yourself from the environment, from the people who love you. You find that maybe you just want to keep to yourself. The little things you used to find joy in, you don't find joy in anymore. Sometimes even something as simple as taking a shower you don't want to do. Then you should know your head that is depression. Now you're in depression. Burnout is a little bit manageable, but burnout, you have exhausted it all. You are almost, now you are giving up. You're saying there's nothing left. Yes, I'll send the notes. Any question? Can we call it a day?
Joy, I wanted to
Yes.
make an announcement. This is Aurelia again.
Yes.
There's an opportunity once we do these sessions. Just to introduce myself, I'm Aurelia, and we formed this. I work for Ada Africa, and we formed the Journal Club. Is a space where researchers meet so that they can support each other. So because we know researchers in Africa have unique challenges we face, either it's with our education system or just because we are students and doing many other things. So after this session, there's going to be, they can call Joy, and Joy can also link them to Joyce, who coordinates the mental health program. And the group checking is going to be on 23rd of April at 7 p.m. It's going to be online because of the corona issue. So we urge you to reach out if you're feeling a bit tired, you're feeling you can't work, you have a lot of time, but you're not getting anything done. Please reach out to Joy. Her email address is there. I think, Joy, you can put it in the chat. And on 23rd April, we are going to have a check-in session for anyone who wants to talk to a counselor. Otherwise, I just want to thank you, Joy. I encourage researchers in Africa, let's join together. Let's do a lot of peer mentoring, a lot of accountability partnering, so that we can be able to finish our research projects in time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe you can
Can
take
we
one
call
more
it a
question.
night? Okay.
If anyone has a question, you can just unmute yourself.
I have a question. This is Carol. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that journal club, how can we get in touch with it? Or will you post, will you send us individually the information about that?
I would like Aurelia
For
to
you,
answer that
Carol,
question.
I can send to, Journal Club is Joyce. Joyce will be able to handle that. For you, Carol, I can send you the information. I know you, but for others who are willing to join, Davis, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
And Aurelia, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, they're asking how they can join the Journal Club.
Okay, the Journal Club, we are a WhatsApp group for now. We meet face to face, and we meet also online, but now we are meeting online on WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp group is full, but we have an email address. So I'm just writing down my contact and the website of Ada Africa, and then you can reach out to me on my phone.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, for those who have shared their email, I'll send the slides.
Yeah, if you need the slides, you can share your email.
Yeah.
I've shared my number, Aurelia. You can see it there. So you can just get in touch about the Journal Club.
And the number too you've shared, I can see.
I can't I can't quite see the number. Is it on the group chat?
Yes, she wrote it down. 0708 363571.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you can reach out on the number, and we usually encourage researchers to make presentation like the way Joy has done. We have a Zoom platform. If you feel you want to share anything, please feel free. Mentors are not just senior lecturers. Mentors are us. Mentors are peers. So if you have a topic you feel you'd like us to learn from you, just tell us, and then you can do a presentation.
Okay. Okay.
So there's this friend of mine who really loves the boyfriend. But recently she found out that this boyfriend has another girlfriend. What's the name of the bar? That's not important. And this is where the irony is in. Thinks that she should pay for what she loves. But the man thinks differently. What? Nothing really. I was just thinking.
Did everyone get the number and the email?
I did.
Yes, yes. Yes, it's okay. Now, Joy.
Yes?
Hello, Joy.
Yes?
I'm calling, I'm in Kitale,
I can hear you.
Trans Nzoia County.
Yes?
I'm talking from Kitale, Trans Nzoia
Yes.
County. I'm just trying to appreciate the presentation that you have just made. Thank you for that. You can just continue for the other forums.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Davis?
Hello, hello, Joy.
You got the emails?
Yeah, I've gotten them. I was thinking to share the slides on Drive. Then I sent
Can
the
we
link
call it a
here.
night? I hope everybody sent their emails.
Yeah, I can see them.
Sorry? You wanted to share the slides here?
Hello, yeah, I want to upload them on Google Drive. Then I send the link here
Yes.
so that they can access it.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Thank you everyone for listening.
Okay, if you need
Thank
the
you for tuning in. Thank you for listening.
thank you so much,
Thank you,
Joy.
Joy.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joy.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you,
You're
Joy.
welcome.
You're welcome.
Yes. But make sure you send that slide, please.
Thank you. Thank you. He has all the emails. I
Thank
think
you.
on Google. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
You too,
Evening.
You too.
Good night.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.